Telepathy. What is up, Alien Army? I am Oculus, the alien next door, purveyor of esoteric lore. And on this channel, we discuss everything out of this world. So today's topic, we're going to be talking a little bit about telepathy. So I'm sure you already know what the fuck telepathy is. It's just really where you are communicating with someone without necessarily using words or language or anything like that. This is more where you are communicating with someone on just a mind level. It's like you are sending and receiving mind messages, as is whoever the fuck you're communicating with. What exactly does this mean? Now, I am going to get into a little bit of law of attraction here too, so it's not necessarily just going to be about telepathy, but basically telepathy is where you're communicating with someone on a level that is unspoken. And we do this all the time. We do this every day. We do this even with motherfuckers that we are not even in communication with right now. We do this with motherfuckers that we don't even know who the fuck they are. And they talk about this a lot in like law of attraction, law of assumption, because it is said that when you have an idea and that idea wants to be fulfilled and brought into fruition in your physical realm experience, that someone else as well must have that same idea and that same thought process as you in order to help you fulfill your wish. So let's say you want to go buy a new car and you know what car you want, you see the price, but you're like, you know what, I want to see if I can get a deal on the price of this car. So what's going to happen? You want to get your wish fulfilled, which is to get a discounted rate on the price of the car, but you go to the dealership. Guess what? At the dealership, what's going to happen is that there has to be someone else there that is receiving the thought that you want a discount on the price of the vehicle, and they are the one that is going to deliver that to you. So this can be as well used in any context. No matter what you're doing, when you are manifesting, let's say you manifested the vehicle you want at a discounted rate, what's going to happen is that someone else at that same time that you had that thought, they had that thought, okay, the next time I go to the dealership, I'm gonna give someone a good deal on a car. They might have that thought while at the same time you're thinking that you want a good deal on that car. And then when the two of you intersect, boom, guess what? You get the car even cheaper than what you originally planned on. But this did involve someone else who actually received, without your conscious awareness, your mind message that you wanted a discounted rate on the car. This happens all the time. A lot of times when motherfuckers are thinking about manifesting and, you know, they're trying to get a specific person or whatever, all of that, or they want their friend to call them or some shit like that, it's still someone in their circle, right? Or they want their fucking spouse to bring home chocolate chip ice cream or some shit. It's like, okay, yeah, you can manifest that, and it might seem like you manifested implanting a message in those individuals' minds because you're in close proximity with them, but it's really essentially always happening. The same thing, you can manifest for you want to go wherever the fuck you going and you don't want to have to drive around looking for parking, so you're like, you know what, I intend that a space opens up right as I'm getting to my destination. So guess what happens? Someone else, the motherfucker who was parked in that space, they receive that message, they're like, oh, time for me to go on to my next destination, and they vacate the parking spot just as you are arriving, and it's seamless. Okay, so did you know that motherfucker? No. Were you consciously trying to manifest something about that motherfucker? No. But you had that telepathic communication with them because you're always broadcasting and receiving, as are they, and they got that idea to vacate the parking space so that you could fill it when you arrived as you wanted. So telepathy is not shutting off, because we know that everything in the universe is one, all is one is all, blah, blah, blah. We already know that shit. One is always communicating telepathically, whether they realize it or not. So the pure thoughts that you have about other motherfuckers, they're picking up on that. The impure thoughts that you're having about other motherfuckers, they're picking up on that too. Greg Braden actually explains this. He goes into details. He talks about the divine matrix, how basically everything is connected in the field, and the field is like the field of consciousness that connects one to the other and all of that jazz. And so because things exist in the field, what essentially motherfuckers are doing, they are just picking up on things that are already in the field, and they are receiving information that is already in the field. Because if the universe always is, always was, and always will be, then nothing can be created or destroyed. Nothing is ever not existing. Nothing is ever existing in the future. Everything is now. So you're picking up an idea. You're really like a,
what are they called?
Antenna. You're like an antenna, and you're picking up on shit that is already going on. You're also receiving shit that is already going on, because everything always is, always was, and ever will be. That's why nothing is impossible for you to manifest, because it already all exists. If you can tune into anything simply by thought, that telepathy with the field, know that it exists. Anything. If you could think it, boom, it exists. Because if you couldn't think it, that means it never not existed. Do you see what I'm saying? Because then you wouldn't have thought of it if it was something that didn't exist. So anything that you can think of, you can have it. You can experience it. This goes for other individuals as well. They too, whether they are operating from like a 3D ego standpoint, or whether they are spiritually elevated and conscious, awake, so to speak, everyone is always connected, and they are always connected even when they are operating out of ego, okay? Because remember, it doesn't shut off. It always is, always was, always will be. It's energy. So when you are having telepathic thoughts, when you are thinking something about someone, let's say a co-worker that you don't like, you're thinking whatever the fuck you're thinking about them because you don't fucking like their ass. Guess what? They're fucking picking up on it. That's why it's sort of like, I want to make this weird comparison where it's like, I know you've probably seen this shit about Alexa is like always spying on like whoever, that type of stuff. So if you want to think of telepathy and like the field, the matrix, that level of consciousness, that thing that is being sent to you, being broadcast by you, being received by you, what you have is basically like an Alexa, and the Alexa is like, you're giving Alexa instructions, right? You're like, okay, put on this channel or whatever the fuck. But Alexa is also picking up on other things too. It's in essence always listening, only in the metaphor here.
Obviously, it's a metaphor.
The universe, that telepathy, that the field, however you want to call it, it's always on and it's always fucking listening. So if you have a thought about someone,
ooh, I can't stand that motherfucker,
guess what's going to happen? On some level, whether they are consciously aware of it or not, they are going to pick up on that because you summoned forth and broadcast energy specifically to them, simply by thinking about them. And that's why in law of attraction they say it's very important not to think about things that you don't want, because guess what? If you're thinking of something you do want, or if you're thinking of something you don't want, either which way you are summoning that energy by your thought upon it. That is telepathy. That is how telepathy works. And then the matrix, the field, the source consciousness is always listening.
It's a little creeper. It's always spying on you.
You're not shutting it off. Even when you go to sleep, you're not shutting that shit off. It's always on. It's always listening. That motherfucker is like Big Brother, okay? Watching you. What are you thinking of now? Who are you thinking of now? How are you thinking in relation to whatever the fuck you're thinking about? It's always receiving what the fuck you're broadcasting. You too are always receiving what the fuck is going on in the field. So that means vice versa. You can pick up on what other motherfuckers are thinking about you. And if you're really tuned in, you're gonna be like, whoa, you're gonna be shocked, homie. You'll be like, damn, it's like that. Oh shit. Because you're gonna pick up on it. And that's why when we're talking about telepathy with someone else, how they say you can communicate without saying a word, that is basically what it is, because it doesn't shut off. So your very thought of whatever the fuck or whoever the fuck, you want to think of it like Alexa, like Big Brother. It's always watching, it's always listening. Ooh, what are they thinking of now? Let's broadcast this and see who receives that. And if you're thinking of a specific situation or a specific person, then that is gonna go, that message that you're thinking is going to be sent to them, and they're gonna pick up on it. That's why sometimes you can have a notion of where someone random crosses your mind and you have no idea why, and then they hit you up like 2 days later, and this is someone that you haven't even spoken to for like 7 years, right? And then they randomly hit you up, and you're like, what the fuck? Because in that moment, they most likely thought of you, like, I wonder how so-and-so is doing. And then a few days later, they fucking message you, and you're like, wait, I just thought of you. And then they're like, yeah, but I just thought of you. So it's not like you're thinking something about them and making them do it. It's sort of like you're already on that wavelength, because if you're connected to everyone and everything else in the field via that telepathy and it doesn't shut off, then essentially you can turn your attention away from something, but there is still, if they summon you, then you're going to think of them out of nowhere, because now they have consciously thought of you. And now, because that field doesn't shut off, you might be minding your own fucking business, but that thought, because it's not ever shut off, is gonna still transmit to you, because you want to think of like the universe as like a little fucking, I don't know, messenger pigeon.
What are they called? I don't know what the fuck they're called. You know, little carrier pigeons. And they carry a fucking note.
So that's sort of what it's like. It's always listening, okay? It's always watching, and it's like, ooh, I have a message for so-and-so. And you, whether you are operating on like 3D or you're operating on 5D or 11D, wherever the fuck you're operating, because the field is still connected, always was, always will be, you are gonna pick up on that person who consciously sent out a thought to you. So that is how telepathy works. Let's say you wanna have a conversation with someone, but you don't really wanna have a conversation in the fucking physical, like, I don't know, for whatever reason. All you have to do is connect to their energy, think of them, and say what the fuck you want to say to them. They will receive that.
I ain't saying how they're gonna receive it, how they're gonna take the message. I ain't saying none of that. If they're gonna respond, how they're gonna respond to you.
But they gonna receive that. They are going to receive that simply because you are summoning them. You are summoning their energy. Big brother, Alexa, universe, always watching, always looking. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Aha, we have a little telepathic communication going from motherfucker A to motherfucker B. Carrier pigeon, here we go. Fly on over to this motherfucker and deliver the message. Whether they are consciously aware of that or not, they are going to sense it. They are going to pick it up. And then maybe a few weeks later, then they fucking tell you the same shit that you told them mentally in your mind. And you're like,
ooh, how did that happen?
Little magician ass shit. That is what happens. Whenever you are broadcasting about someone else or about receiving a desire, that message gotta go somewhere. Like I said with the car dealership, you don't know the motherfuckers at the car dealership, you never met them, but you had that desire, so that desire is being broadcast out, and then now someone else is going to receive it who would be applicable in that situation. Because energy doesn't like a fucking traffic jam. Energy wants to deliver immediately now, because everything is fucking now. So it's gonna look for the easiest way. So there might be 7 different motherfuckers working at that same car dealership, but it just so happens that this motherfucker who telepathically you sent that message to, that was the one who was just going to give the discount in the most compatible manner of your energy, right? Because it doesn't want to hassle. It's like, what's the easiest way that I can get this shit done? Okay, boom, here, that one, boom. That is what happens, because they in a way are open to the easygoingness and discount in the way you are, so your energies are synced up. So the universe is like, okay, telepathically, this looks like the easiest route, let's go with that, even when you don't know someone. So that is when I'm talking about telepathy. I'm saying you are always fucking broadcasting, always, always, always. So if you're having some thoughts about motherfuckers and they're not so pleasant, I mean, they are picking up on that. And I can tell you, I have personally experienced this many, many, many times, receiving and giving and all of that shit. I have witnessed this with others, and they just tell me shit, and I'm like, whoa, like that shit was telepathic. And it might be their situation regarding someone else. So this does happen. It happens more commonly than you think. But in essence, just to put some icing on this wonderful cake that we baked today, think of your thoughts as always being spied on by the universe, And no matter what, if you're thinking something detrimental, guess what? It's going to want to broadcast you back shit on that same wavelength. If you're thinking something beneficial, it's going to want to broadcast that back to you, something on that same wavelength, because it doesn't shut off. Neville Goddard, mental diet. Beware your motherfucking thoughts, because other motherfuckers are picking up on that, as well as situations that involve people that you potentially don't know yet. So if you are thinking, yep, I'm gonna get a parking spot immediately as soon as I get there, boom, someone else had that thought for the easiest way this to transpire. Universe tapped on the shoulder of a motherfucker, hey, look, it's time to go somewhere else, vacate your parking spot, so now you slide in smooth.
I don't know if that was all over the place, but I think you know what the fuck I'm talking about. Be mindful of your thoughts, because the universe is always watching and listening.
I am Oculus, the alien next door. We will chit-chat again soon.